Enjoy the freedom and convenience that comes with CBZ Bank Visa. With Visa's convenient online payment system, you can make transactions from anywhere in the world with ease. You can pay for your education with a simple click. With your CBZ Bank Visa card, you'll never miss a beat when it comes to making smart online payments. Shop online from anywhere using your CBZ Bank Visa card. CBZ Bank, partners for success. A bank that's in sync with your lifestyle. We understand your unique requirements and the high level of service that you deserve. Our dedicated relationship officers are ready to grow your wealth and give you sound investment advice designed to support your business, asset acquisition goals, and the life you want to lead. Reach for the stars. Apply for the CBZ Prime account. CBZ Bank, partners for success. Enjoy the freedom and convenience that comes with CBZ Bank Visa. With Visa's convenient online payment system, you can make transactions from anywhere in the world with ease. You can pay for your education with a simple click. With your CBZ Bank Visa card, you'll never miss a beat when it comes to making smart online payments. Shop online from anywhere using your CBZ Bank Visa card. CBZ Bank, partners for success. A bank that's in sync with your lifestyle. We understand your unique requirements and the high level of service that you deserve. Our dedicated relationship officers are ready to grow your wealth and give you sound investment advice designed to support your business, asset acquisition goals, and the life you want to lead. Reach for the stars. Apply for the CBZ Prime account. CBZ Bank, partners for success. Enjoy the freedom and convenience that comes with CBZ Bank Visa. With Visa's convenient online payment system, you can make transactions from anywhere in the world with ease. You can pay for your education with a simple click. With your CBZ Bank Visa card, you'll never miss a beat when it comes to making smart online payments. Shop online from anywhere using your CBZ Bank Visa card. CBZ Bank, partners for success. A bank that's in sync with your lifestyle. We understand your unique requirements and the high level of service that you deserve. Our dedicated relationship officers are ready to grow your wealth and give you sound investment advice designed to support your business, asset acquisition goals, and the life you want to lead. Reach for the stars. Apply for the CBZ Prime account. CBZ Bank, partners for success.
No, 100%. Thanks. It's a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Weaver Field at St. George's College in Harare. And we are bringing to you action from the second team match between St. George's Saints and Hellenic. We are just over 2 minutes into the match, and Hellenic, have scored. So it is 5 points to nil in favor of the visitors. So that is a kick-off from Mangunda. The attempt to exit from Hellenic has been charged down. And it is St. George's in possession. Ball comes out. It is Mandishwana with a carry, but unfortunately he steps out. Watipa Mandishwana, we saw last week against Prince Edward Super Seconds. He had a very strong game on that left wing. Scored a couple of tries, and today he was looking to get some parity on the scoreboard. That's an overthrow from the Hellenic hooker. The ball was knocked forward by Hellenic at the back of their line out, and that'll be a scrum. Favor of the hosts. Promising attacking position this. About 15 meters on the short side. Feed comes in from the scrum of Jan Gumbo. Good solid scrum that from the Hellenic pack. Ball picked up by Kaonde. The St. George's working it through the middle. They've got numbers out wide. Got solid carry through the middle, just under the posts. St. George's about 5 meters out. Hellenic will need to be disciplined. They don't want to give away penalty now. Very good patient defense that from Hellenic. The Hellenic seconds, of course, have had a very good season, just like the first team, the Spartans. I understand they've won pretty much every match, I think. I think they only lost to Peter House. So that penalty doesn't go all the way out, and it's taken by Mandishona. Mandishona to Mangunda. Does Mangunda score? No, he's stopped short. And that is knocked forward in the collision. And this will be Hellenic to kick out once again, to exit. Good patient defense from Hellenic, showing a lot of defensive discipline, a lot of commitment to protecting their try line, and showing why they've had as good a season as they've had up to this point. Much better scrum there from the St. George's pack. Good carry by the Hellenic 8th man. And a solid exit. Takes play up to about 25 meters from the Hellenic try line. The throw to come from Edwin Mutasa. Not good enough. He should have done better. The ball kind of getting caught in between his fingers and not getting the loft that he would have wanted to have had at that point. Edwin Mutasa. His throws haven't always been on point through the season, and he'll be disappointed with that start. So that was knocked by Hellenic, and that gives St. George's a scrum. Big scrum there from Hellenic once again. Those forwards, that front row of Benz, of Christmas, Mpindiwa and Mataruse are doing extremely well and ably supported by Gambiza and Sabo. That tight five really getting the better of the St. George's tight five, which is Muzongi, Mutasa, Rusike, Mafira Mbudzi, and Festus. They'll be looking to lock those knees, create a bit more resistance than they've shown in these three scrums up to this point. So once again, that is a feedback. Much better scrum there. That man coming through, losing his bind, and a penalty to St. George's. The quick tap not rewarded, not catching the Hellenic defenders back in. So that was a misjudged tap. St. George's to build through the middle, the pick and go. Patient attack this from St. George's. Continuing to work through the middle are the St. George's force, but unfortunately the ball has been lost in the collision. St. George's forward, they're guilty of not protecting the ball, being too high. Terrible kick out there from Lashbrook. So St. George's to bring the ball back up with the very dangerous Mnashe Pandey. But well handled by the Hellenic chase on that far side of the field. This is Hellenic continuing to pile up the pressure, really coming through the middle are those Hellenic forwards. Excellent support for the defender. And St. George's have lost possession. That will not come out, and that should be a scrum to St. George's, taken in by the Hellenic player. Very good defensive pressure. This from Hellenic, managing to take the St. George's attack back and gaining a good solid 30-odd meters. That's some valuable real estate. It's a lot easier to defend a situation like that. And you'll see yet another scrum to St. George's. And we anticipate more pressure coming through from the Hellenic Type 5. St. George's will be desperate to improve that platform, and that is a tight head. The Hellenic eighth man to pick it up and go! And that is another try to Hellenic. Hellenic have been rewarded for that excellent defense and beautiful pressure coming through from their pack. Wonderful pick and go by the eighth man. He had only Pandey to beat on the blindside flank, on the blindside wing, sorry, and he had the freedom of Harare province. So it's 10 points to nil with 19 and a half minutes to go in this first half. The St. George's coach, Osborne Mohambi, will have a mumble with his players, and that is 12. Good conversion there. He'll be keen to impress upon his forwards that they need to exist, that they need to be patient, that they need to get this ball back and build through the phases, look after the ball better in the post-collision. Hellenic have done extremely well in killing the speed of that recycle, making the St. George's forwards doubt their game plan. So 12 points to nil with about 12 minutes gone in this first half. For St. George's to kick off, they'll be desperate to get this ball back. Good contestable kick. Just short of the 22, not recovered there by the fly half. And knocked in the attempt to catch, and that'll be another scrum. And that will not be bad news for Hellenic. So far, that's been a very profitable phase of play for them. So that is not a satisfactory engage. Maybe the St. George's front three will be keen to get a little bit lower. Right now they're engaging on Hellenic's terms. And you can see that front row is really not comfortable. Much better shove there from the St. George's boys, and a good carry by Pandey. Well made by the first center. Matonga, as the ball comes out. St. George's in attack, comes out to the left. The captain Chibasa, he'll be keen to give his team some front football. St. George's once again will build, go through the phases, work it in inch by inch. Try to draw a penalty. Good support that is from the St. George's boys. Each ball carrier with a cleaner right on top of him. But the defense from Hellenic has been stellar. Good defensive discipline from Hellenic. And St. George's do succeed in drawing that penalty. Are they going to go for posts to at least reward the forwards? Doesn't look like it. Looks like they're gonna tap and go. Well, the captain's decision was to go for the kick, but there's no T on the bench, strangely. St. George's would have been keen to get 3 points here, so Mangunda forced to drop kick, and that is a successful attempted goal, and that is St. George's on the board finally. Halfway through the first half, it is 12 points to 3. The forwards have been rewarded for their patience. That should give them a bit more confidence. You always want to accumulate as many points as possible from mistakes that your opposition gives you, and that was the first time Hellenic showed a bit of impatience in defense. So as we wait for the kickoff from Hellenic, good contestable ball, dropping just short of the 22 and recovered by Forsyth. But unfortunately, he knocks it on in the collision. So St. George's will breathe a sigh of relief, because that looked like a very dangerous counter. That would have been a dangerous counter-attack from Hellenic. Hellenic would have looked to have kept their foot on the throat of St. George's, as it were. So that will be a scrum down to the Saints. Muzongi Mtasa and Rusike against Christmas, Mpindiwa and Mataruse. The referee, Madam Rejoice, keen to impress upon the front rows that they engage on her call, or else it becomes dangerous. So now that ball will be fed in by the St. George's scrum half. Almost recovered by, it is recovered by Hellenic. Excellent tight head from Pindiwa, the captain. And Hellenic will build. It's their turn to work through the phases. The scrum half out to the first center. He'll dance through the middle. Does Matonga. And we'll come back to the penalty. Will Hellenic go for posts just to take the the heat out of the game and get back to a 12-point lead. Looks like they're going to go for touch with the fullback. Sompindiwa to throw into a 5-man line out. Just on the St. George's 22. Looks like he's going to the back. Well recovered there by Lashbrook. That's a more, surely. That's St. George's player coming through the side, and there is a penalty advantage against Ngirandi. Ball comes out to the short side. The wing on that side is Mavuga. And that is a try to Hellenic, the third try of the day. And it looks like the Saints are in 6s and 7s at this point. They're not really able to find a phase of play that they're really good at. Not able to find something that's working for them. And they're compounding mistakes. And because of that, Hellenic has scored their third try. And it would have been ideal for the Saints to have been next on the scoreboard. But Hellenic are keeping the scoreboard pressure up on them. So Ellis looking to convert his second from a very difficult angle. Unfortunately, that is the post. So that remains 17 points to 3 with 10 minutes to go. 3 tries, only 1 converted. Those 4 points, those 4 missed points can be said to give the hosts a lifeline. Mangunda to kick off, shorter this time, and very good recovery from Ngirandi. St. George's to work on the short side on the far side. Good clean out there. Good carry from Uzongi, getting some valuable mileage. Now they carry through the middle once again. St. George's keeping the support, but unfortunately Festus unable to gather that pass and knocking it on. That's what happens if you catch with the belly. Good awareness from the Hellenic open side flanker. Lashbrook, and winning the penalty for the St. George's players, not back 10. And Ellis to kick to the near side. Try to gain touch. And that's not a very good contact. And Gumbo allowing that ball to bounce in front of him. And you know how it is with a rugby ball. You cannot predict its bounce and it goes out into touch. You can see the disappointment on him, and Mandishona going across to encourage him and make sure that he's got his head in the game. It's absolutely important for your scrum half to be in the game. So we get an early change, and St. George's have pulled out their fly half, Nathan Nema. And that is Hellenic recovering the ball, and a good carry up the middle from Matonga. That's a more. It's important for Hellenic to get the ball out. Either that or keep them all moving, and it will not come out. And it looks like it will be a scrum to the defending team just on their 22. So with 8 minutes left in this first half, it's been an excellent 22 minutes from the visitors. If they were to have scripted this first half, I'm sure they couldn't have done it any better than they've done now. So the ball will be fed in. And St. George's will play to the far side of the field, and that's a very good touch they got on the full. Did it bounce before? It went out. It looks like it did. No, it was in the 22. So that clearance is fine. So that takes play to just short of the St. George's 10. Hellenic are still in a very good position in terms of where they want to be. The visitors definitely have kept their foot on it. They've not given the hosts any respite and not given the hosts a single thing that they can take. So the ball will come out, and not stellar handling on that occasion, but that high speed from St. George's creating a number of awkward moments for the visitors, and they are rewarded with a penalty, the support going off their feet. And St. George's will be keen to kick to touch, get that line out back and maul it, but that puts a lot of pressure on Mutasa. His throwing hasn't always been on point. So it looks like they've opted for the scrum, which is a more ideal decision. It ties up 8 defenders and it reduces the backline players to one-on-one situations in each zone. So St. George's have done a bit of a reshuffle of their team. It looks like the scrum half, Vian Gumbo, has gone into fly half. As the ball comes out, the fly half plays out to the second center, hold dance. And just about handled by Chivasa, and did extremely well to force that mistake. Will St. George's go for post? No, they'll tap, they'll go. Shonchinomwe, he'll pass it to the right. St. George's will come back towards the middle. Again, going back to those close rucks, but on this occasion there was separation between the ball carrier and his support, and the support guilty of leaving a very big window.
I think I'll leave it in your hands. We'll be using it a lot more today.
So that'll be Hellenic to throw. That is to the referee's satisfaction, and that'll be a more. They'll gain 5 meters and the ball come out to the fly half, but passed forward. So that ball from Ellis to Kashaya going just forward. They'll be disappointed with the execution there. The last 3 or 4 minutes haven't exactly been stellar from the visitors. They haven't been as good as the first 22 minutes. So St. George is benefiting from a couple of compounded errors from the visitors. So that's giving them a way back into the game. Can St. George's create an 8th man pickup at least? No, they will pass the ball out. It does go to Gumbo. Gumbo to Chinomwe. Chinomwe to Chibasa. Chibasa well handled by Mpofu. Hellenic will steal that ball and they'll work back to that far side of the field. That's been a very profitable side for them. That's where they've scored their points. And unfortunately, execution. The ball to Sabo going forward. No, that does happen when players are lateral because they were in defense. It's important to take a couple of steps back and create depth instead of just moving forward at once. So the lock Sabo, he saw his name up in lights. He already had his new profile picture for his Instagram profile. Fortunately, the pass to him had gone forward. And that is yet another scrum to St. George's. So far, they haven't managed to get any real front foot ball from the scrums. Maybe they can look at a variation with the eighth man. Gumbo to Pande. Pande through the middle. And you get past Bofu. He's only got the full back to beat. He will go around him. Can Pande finish? Smothered by three defenders. Eventually Hellenic bringing him down and the ball comes out to Kahonde. St. George is getting proper front foot ball for the first time today. And the ball will come out. Not the ideal body position to win that collision. Eventually brought down, but momentum has been lost. But St. George's have numbers outside. Unfortunately, not the best of passes going to that man and knocked on. But we will come back for the penalty advantage to St. George's. Just about a minute left. What will St. George's do? It is a very kickable penalty, this. Have they found the tee? Doesn't look like there's a tee coming from the bench. So it is the replacement scrum half to take it up. Good solid carry. St. George's on the attack. About 10 meters out. Yet another carry. Much better support. Making sure that window's closed. Festus to carry. Stop short. But again, guilty of being too high. Not in the best position to win that collision. Slow ball from St. George's. They'll pick, they'll go. Looking to win the meters. Trying to be patient. The ball this time to Festus. Festus works towards the middle and he'll score. He finds a gap between two shoulders, and that is Daniel Festus to score the first try for St. George's today with basically the last play of the half. It is St. George's 8 and Hellenic 17 with the kick to come. Still no T. Chinomwe to convert, and that'll be 10 points to 17. St. George's finishing a half. They haven't really been good in within touching distance of Hellenic. Join us for the second half. Stay tuned.
Enjoy the freedom and convenience that comes with CBZ Bank Visa. With Visa's convenient online payment system, you can make transactions from anywhere in the world with ease. You can pay for your education with a simple click. With your CBZ Bank Visa card, you'll never miss a beat when it comes to making smart online payments. Shop online from anywhere using your CBZ Bank Visa card. CBZ Bank, partners for success. A bank that's in sync with your lifestyle. We understand your unique requirements and the high level of service that you deserve. Our dedicated relationship officers are ready to grow your wealth and give you sound investment advice designed to support your business, asset acquisition goals, and the life you want to lead. Reach for the stars. Apply for the CBZ Prime account. CBZ Bank. Partners for success.
So welcome back to the second half, and if St. George's were looking for a positive start to the second half, they did not get that from the kick restart. That ball going straight into touch from the kick, and that gives Hellenic an opportunity to begin the second half as strongly as they began the first. So this is a scrum early on to be fed by Kasha. As play develops to the far side, the fly half, Ellis will work with the wing on that side. So that'll be kicked into touch. So if you missed the first half, Hellenic started really strongly, and for 22 odd minutes, they built up a 17 points to 3 lead, and St. George's, basically in the last play of the half, managed to score a try that they converted to bring the score back to touching distance. And there we have Machia working through the seam to create some good front football for the home side. Good carry from Uzongi. St. George's looking to create some sort of advantage, some sort of momentum, and forcing the penalty out of the visitors for high contact in the tackle. And it will be Sean Chinomwe to go for touch. Left footer kicker. Surely you'll be looking for the 22. Doesn't get as good a contact as he'd have liked. But he did get into the 22, so that's the first objective met. So that will be a line out to be thrown in by Mutasa. Probably going to look for the front of the line out. Indeed, he does. Little too high for his jumper. And Hellenic will come out of that with possession. So that's St. George's line out, which has been under a lot of pressure right through the season. Continues to cough up possession. And yet another promising attack for St. George's lost. So Hellenic do get the chance to exit from the A22. Hellenic, of course, lining up as Christmas, Mpindiwa, and Matarose in the front row. Gambiza and Sabo, the locks. Forsyth, Kadzizira, and Lashbrook, the Lucies. Scrum half is Kashaya. Fly off Ellis. The centers, Matonga and Hunda. The wings, Mavuga and Pofu. And the fullback is Bookman. Much better pressure coming through from the St. George's pack on that scrum. Forcing the 8th man to make the decision to pick it up and go. But unfortunately, over eagerness and ill discipline on that short side. Giving Hellenic an opportunity to exit easily. The penalty kicked out by Ellis. taking play just short of the Hellenic 10. This match so far sort of intermittent. St. George's not really up to snuff so far. Hellenic have looked the better side, albeit their last 12 minutes haven't been as great. But that throw goes way over, and then Vian Gumbo, who started the match at scrum half and now has gone to fly half, with a massive carry there from Chinomwe. And Hellenic guilty of not supporting their weight in that. And Pande to carry. St. George's in the attack. And that has gone out into touch. Pande stepping out. Yet another promising attack for St. George's, not reaping results, but they are in a position where they can force a mistake from Hellenic and it won't be as difficult to get up and score. That ball won. Ngirandi with the carry. They've stopped just short. Chinomwe with the second carry. Machia finds Muzongi. Muzongi just short. St. George's about 5 meters out. Ball comes out. Gumbo to Chinomwe. Chinomwe finds Pande. Can Pande put it in? Yes, he can. And St. George's have got their second try. They're the first to score and in the second half, and they would have been extremely important. It couldn't have been overstressed enough by the coaches how important it was for them to be next to get on the score sheet. But they're finally getting some space to operate in. As we wait for the conversion to come. And that is off target, so the visitors remain in the lead, 15 points to 17. The Hellenic Bura, as they call themselves. So Hellenic to kick off, just recovered by St. George's in their 22, and they'll look to run out, and unfortunately, Mandishona stepping out into touch, and Hellenic will be extremely pleased about the return from that kick. They took the gamble of kicking deep, and of course, when you do that, you want to create some positional pressure on the receiving team. But St. George's making it easy for Hellenic to get that ball back just on the 22. And the throw to be taken by Mpindiwa, the Hellenic captain, not going to hand. Recovered by the scrum half. Kashaya. Plays it out. Ellis to the substitute. Center. Hellenic will work it back towards the middle of the field. Good support arriving for Hellenic, making sure that St. George's cannot target that ruck. Good carry up the middle there by Forsyth. Good leg strength. Ellis through Sabo's hands, but recovered. Hellenic unable to score there, knocking it on just short of the try line. And we will stop. That's time out for medical attention on the substitute scrum half, Seth Machia. Quite a nice crowd building up here at St. George's College. If you're close by, please come through. Just about 30 minutes before the kickoff of the main match between the Dragons and the Spartans. The Dragons arguably the most consistently performing first team in the country up to this point, alongside Peterhouse perhaps, since COVID at least. And Hellenic riding the crest of a wave and enjoying their best season to date, and looking to do what Spartans are renowned for, and that is creating difficulty for whoever is in their gun sight. And in this case, they do have the Dragons in their crosshair. So that has been overturned. It is a penalty to St. George's with Chinomwe to kick out. He'll look to get some distance from this. Just about does it, maybe 10 odd meters. And a marvelous catch in the crowd. Pretty sure you heard that smattering of applause. Beautiful catch in the crowd. One or two people reliving their first team days, showing what they used to do in their day. And the throw taken by Garande, not going to hand, recovered by Hellenic, and that is Forsyth working through the middle. St. George's defense giving away valuable meters. The ball comes out to Ellis. Ellis will pass it over, just about gathered by the center, Matonga. Matonga losing momentum, trying to bring that ball in from above his eye line, and fortunately for Hellenic, they get a return in terms of the penalty, and it looks like they want to go for poles, create some momentum on the scoreboard. At least the decision from the bench had been to go for poles, but the captain Pindiwa, of course, the hooker, he'll be game for the scrum, and Hellenic has had some pretty good scrums up to this point. So I do understand his optimism. There's a very nice short side on that far side, but the scrum half will pick it up, pass it out to Ellis. Ellis finds Mpofu in the middle. Mpofu, did he? Yes, he did use his cross runner. So accidental offsides there. That's the danger that you run with these blocker runs. So guilty of ducking behind his teammate. And St. George's at that point looked extremely vulnerable. And they will get that relieving kick, and it does go to touch just short of the halfway. So 16 and a half minutes to go. In the second half, it is the visitors, the Hellenic Borough, leading by 17 points to 15. And this clash between second teams. Beautiful sunny day, barely any wind. So for once, that line out paying dividends for St. George's. Nice carry through the middle by Machomera. The scrum of Machia, not such a good pass. You'd want it to be better than that. He'll need to be more consistent with his execution, costing his team momentum. So they'll look to build again, and because of that, they're forced to kick. Chinomwe looking to test that backfield from Hellenic. Bookman will kick it up. Gathered by the flanker from St. George's, Ngirandi. Ngirandi with a solid carry. Well made. And Ngirandi a bit wobbly on his feet there. So the call from the bench is for Chinomwe to go for a touch with that left foot kick of his. He'll be looking to get back into the 22. And that will be true. Good clearance from him. Again, first objective met. So Garande, all the pressure's on him. And his jumper. His jumper of choice. Goes to the front. Unfortunately, the lifters don't get him up. And that is Forsyth to carry the ball up. Once again, that line out, letting the Saints down. And Ellis will kick. A beautiful torpedo kick. But we'll come back to a penalty. One of the St. George's players in front of his last man, trying to put pressure on Ellis. And ill discipline costing them possession, where they would have had a line out on the Hellenic 10. It is now instead a Hellenic line out in roughly the area where that ball had gone out. So Nathan Pindewa, the Hellenic seconds captain, to throw into this one. Unfortunately unable to find his man. He was looking to lob it to the middle. Mandishona, he'll dash through the middle. Good forward momentum created there by the St. George's winger. As St. George's look to build through the faces once again. Viangumbo finds Chinomwe. Chinomwe taken down. St. George's will continue to build through with the phases. And they'll win the penalty. And I'm pretty sure they'll be thinking of going for poles. It is a kickable one. No, they will not. They will throw. They will pass. They'll tap. They'll go. Ball carrier isolated there. And Hellenic rewarded for their awareness. They've been very good in that post collision. And they've had a go at any St. George's ruck where the support left too much of a gap over the ball carrier, and they've really gone for that window. So that window, that support from the firemen letting the St. George's Saints down. So this will be a feed from Hellenic. 12 minutes to go in this match. There's still a 2-point game. St. George's, will they rue the decision not to kick for poles as they continue to build out to Hellenic, the visitors? Beautiful off play. He's got 3 versus 1 out there. Unfortunately, Mpofu not able to control that ball, and it is eventually gathered, but there were a number of knocks, and the first knock was by Mpofu. And it will be a scrum down to the hosts. This match not really building up in terms of the momentum. Neither side able to keep the ball for extended periods of time, although St. George's have shown that they've got the patience to build through the pack. But the defensive discipline from Hellenic has shone through. Definitely they've imposed their will on the hosts. So this match going pretty much the way Hellenic would have loved. 10.5 minutes to go. There's still Hellenic leading 17 points to 15. Only 2 points in it. And St. George's in possession. So far, we haven't seen St. George's picking and going with the 8th man. Kahonde is an excellent athlete, and I'm pretty sure he'd fancy his chances against Mpofu in a one-on-one carry. He's definitely got the physical mismatch, in my opinion. So that is an 8th man pickup, but to the scrum half. Machia passes it out to Chinomwe. Chinomwe taken down. St. George's building towards the near side. They do have a number overload. So that will be a penalty against Hellenic. Tackler not releasing. The crowd urging St. George's to go for poles, but the last time that was an option, they didn't have a cone, surely. In the time between, they'd have found a kicking tee, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So they've asked for the scrum. So Kawode coming to take instruction from his coach, Big Osborne Mwambi, who himself was a fairly formidable man in this area. I'm pretty sure he'd have loved to have had a pick and go at the little winger on this side, young Mavuga. So the ball to be fed by the replacement scrum half Machia, but that will be retaken. The scrum will be reset because neither front row was set. Both sides guilty of not sticking to the referee's cadence. So bit of a distance between the engage and sit. And this time we do see that 8-9 play as well spoken of. And Mandishona taken down by the last man, Bookman. Bookman looked really good in that one-on-one defense. St. George's will work it out. Mafirambuzi to Machomera. And unfortunately, the support not arriving on time. So Machomera forced to play it on the floor. And that is a penalty. Kashai was looking to take advantage of a number of players not backed in. So interestingly enough, Hellenic choosing not to kick but to pass out, and the third pass not going to hand, and St. George's will recover it. And they'll get a chance to run it back. Slorak. Ball just about comes out Festus. And we will stop medical attention to one of the Hellenic players. Looks like the captain. Bindios look pretty good in the tight phases. Has gone down. Definitely his team with 7 point with a 2-point lead with 7 minutes left. Pretty sure his boys would be keen to take a bit of a breather, have a moment to speak, figure out what it is they need to do for the next 7 minutes. Number of boys taking the opportunity to take in a gulp or two. So, bit of concern for the Hellenic captain, Bindiwa. The bench has been asked to replace him. Bindiwa doesn't look like he's able to continue. His lineouts have been extremely good, so there'll be a round of applause. He seems to be having a problem with his either left knee or muscle roundabout there. It can be the calf or the hamstring, not sure which. Doesn't seem able to put any weight on that left leg. So he'll be helped off the pitch. It's been very, very good for them. He's been a wonderful leader for this unit. So hopefully they don't lose anything in terms of the line out security that they had earlier. So That is going to be a line out scrum. Chinomwe carries it relatively high, but taken in by Matonga managing to handle that. St. George's will build through Ngirandi. St. George's do have numbers on this side of the field. Chivasa will find Mandishwana. Mandishwana has looked very good. Ngirandi. And the ball will go wide. Festus once again on that ball. Could offload by St. George's. Good continuity there. Gaining a couple of extra meters. Hellenic will be desperate to maintain their discipline because remember, all St. George's need with 4 minutes to go is just that penalty. That'll take it to, it's only a two-point game. Good defensive discipline so far by Hellenic. Unfortunately, just as I say it, they do give away the penalty. Very kickable. What will St. George's do? And it looks like a cone is coming on. St. George's will go for the points. And we've also seen reinforcement coming through in the form of Messiah Dingwane. St. George's will take the points. It is kickable slightly to the right side. Not too distant. Chinomwe, left-footed kicker, so this will be right up his alley. 3 minutes to go. And that will be through the poles. And for the first time today, St. George's in the lead. 3 minutes to go in this match. Urgency from both benches. It is critical who wins this kick restart. And that goes just short of the 22. Gathered by Festus. Does well to buy his support time to arrive. And that is a penalty to St. George's. Machia will tap, he'll go. Hellenic target that. Once again, the support not arriving on time. And Hellenic come off with the ball. And that is Lashbrook. But his attempt to offload is intercepted by Machomera. Machomera gains some valuable ground. Takes the ball into the Hellenic half. And that will be chipped for by Pande. Ball recovered by St. George's. St. George's on the attack. In the 22, can they draw yet another penalty perhaps? Good carry. Hellenic under pressure for the first time, looking uncomfortable in defense, going off his feet. Now they carry by St. George's. They've looked to be patient. Good counteract there from Hellenic, and that man rewarded for his enterprise. Tap and go from the fly half. Ellis working to the right side of the field. Unfortunately, the player on that side unable to gather. Pande, he'll chip. Can he gather? Can he get over? And Pande will score. Come at the man. And St. George's has scored twice in a minute and a half. It is now 23 points to 17. St. George's leading by 6 with the kick to come. Hellenic losing their direction, losing their way somewhat with the captain off. How momentum has swung from one end of the pendulum to the next. One moment, St. George's were under the cosh. Barely 40 seconds later, St. George's are up the field, and as luck would have it, with that high intensity line speed of theirs. They forced the mistake from Hellenic, but tellingly Chinoma is unable to convert. So it remains a 6-point game. Hellenic are still in it. This is the last play, surely. Knocked on. Knocked on. Hellenic to have a lifeline. Is there time for the scrum? Yes, there is. Yes, there is time for the scrum. Right now, this is probably the most important scrum of their season. They'd be extremely keen to get this ball back, work through the middle, and create space outside. They've looked really threatening with their centers. St. George's will be keen to pile on the pressure. Dingwane is a very good scrummer, and this is his first scrum of the game. It'll be reset, of course, with all the pressure that's coming through. It's important now for Carmeds to prevail. 23 points to 17. The hosts in the lead. As a ball is fed in by the scrum half, Kashaya picked up by the 8th man, Katsizira. Score of 2 tries up to now. And St. George's have won the penalty. Katsizira getting isolated, and the St. George's defense first to arrive in terms of support, getting over the ball carrier. They'll tap, they'll kick, and that is out, and that is the game. St. George's seconds the Saints have won it. They've taken it back when it mattered most, and they will win this one, 23 points to 17. This game coming alive later.
Enjoy the freedom and convenience that comes with CBZ Bank Visa. With Visa's convenient online payment system, you can make transactions from anywhere in the world with ease. You can pay for your education with a simple click. With your CBZ Bank Visa card, you'll never miss a beat when it comes to making smart online payments. Shop online from anywhere using your CBZ Bank Visa card. CBZ Bank, partners for success. A bank that's in sync with your lifestyle. We understand your unique requirements and the high level of service that you deserve. Our dedicated relationship officers are ready to grow your wealth and give you sound investment advice designed to support your business, asset acquisition goals, and the life you want to lead. Reach for the stars. Apply for the CBZ Prime account. CBZ Bank, partners for success.